Hello guys and welcome to the channel. In the mix of a Final Destination 6 releasing this May, we thought we would do a Final Destination ranking, and before we jump in, don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos. Let's jump right in. To kick off our ranking, starting at 5, we have to go with the 4th installment of the Final Destination franchise. The reason for this is because although we have a really cool scene where Hunt gets suckered into the water by Death after his lucky, Coin drops into the pool and he gets sucked into the drain at the bottom of the pool where he meets his demise. I couldn't get into a swimming pool after that scene, yikes. Although I strongly believe that Hunt's scene was pretty creative, number 4 ranks the lowest on this list. Because for me, they teased us not once but twice with the death of Janet with the car wash scene and the movie theater scene, but was ultimately saved by her friend Lori, which then skipped Janet on the list. Fast forward to later in the movie, she surprisingly is saved again by her friend Nick and keeping her in the final 3 at the end. Another honorable scene is when Nick is trying to save Lori from her demise inside an escalator. We then see that this was just another premonition. If you ask me, a combination between the car wash, movie theater, and the escalator scenes were such strong teasers, but nothing came of them in the end. Why teasers like that, man? Final Destination 4 will sit at number 5. Moving on, and at number 4 we have Final Destination 5, and here we meet our protagonist Sam Lawton, who has a premonition that there is going to be a bridge collapse while on their way to a work retreat. Of course, same rules apply. They all get off one by one and die. One by one. This stays at 4. She won. For the simple reason is because I didn't quite like the kill scenes in the movie. I feel like the movie was lacking something. But the reason it rates higher than 4 is because of that clever move by the writers where we see Sam and his girlfriend Molly boarding Flight 180 to Paris, which is the same plane that Alex got himself and his friends off in the first installment. It turns out number 5 is actually a prequel of events that happened before the first installment, and I think it is a clever way to come full circle. Of course, Sam and Molly meet their grisly demise on Flight 180 after failing to adhere to Alex's warning about the plane exploding. On to number 3 in our list, we got Final Destination 3, which sees main girl Wendy take on the same role as the rest, which is having a premonition and accidentally saving those around her through her actions until Death picks them off one by one. Wendy has a premonition of a roller coaster derailing from the tracks and causing the demise of those on board, although her boyfriend Jason and other main guy Kevin's girlfriend Carrie were not so lucky to get off the coaster. The reason for the 3rd installment getting a higher ranking in the list is because the kills were quite cool in terms when Death writes off Erin with a nail gun, Ashlyn and Ashley in some tanning machines, and who can forget creepy Frankie at the drive-thru, who met his gruesome end when a truck crashed into the back of the car that Wendy and Kevin drove in, which they escaped sudden death, but Frankie maybe? Not so lucky, not to mention when the engine just detached itself from Frankie, made for a very gruesome end. Wendy and Kevin survive but ultimately die in the final scene of part 3, and for the concept and kills alone, I'm placing this one in 3rd place. At number 2 we got Final Destination, aka the first movie of the franchise. Now a lot of people debate if 1 or 2 is better, and I do believe it is a hard decision which sparks debate among fans, but I gotta put number 1 second, but bear with me. Final Destination sees Alex Browning as our main protagonist who manages to scare his classmates off of the plane after panicking that the plane was going to explode, which of course it did end up doing. Alex thought it was over, but soon realizes that Death is hunting them down one by one in the order they were supposed to die on the plane. Himself and Clear try to stop Death in his tracks. In a deleted part of the script, Clear was supposed to be carrying the baby of Alex, which it states in the franchise that New Life can cheat Death as it begins a new list. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see this come to screens because Devon Sauer had a dispute with the makers over payments or something along those lines. The writers originally wanted Alex to return to the series, but due to this issue mentioned earlier, he met his demise off screen when a brick landed on his head in an alley way in front of Clear, who then locked herself up in an asylum voluntarily. To avoid death, A mind-boggling fact I learned recently is that Tobey Maguire and Kirsten Dunst were considered for the roles of Alex and Claire, and I don't know about you guys, but I can't see Spider-Man and Mary Jane being stalked by death. What about you? On to the final piece of the franchise. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Please leave a comment with your favorite Final Destination movie in the franchise, and if you agree with this list. Now onto our final ranking, and at number 1, yes, you guessed it, we have Final Destination 2. In this installment, we see Kimberly as our main protagonist with the same formula, saves herself and some strangers from their untimely deaths on Route 23. I can't tell you how many times I avoided driving behind a truck carrying something on. And after seeing this movie, Claire returns for the sequel to help Kimberly, Thomas, and the rest of the survivors cheat death. But now that she is out in the open, death came back for her, and she met her fiery end in the hospital. Claire goes to check on one of the other survivors, while Kimberly and Thomas made sure Isabella, who is a survivor on Route 23, 23 has her baby and gives new life, therefore cheating death. And as mentioned earlier with Alex and Claire, I'm glad they brought this move into the sequel to keep it fresh. Later on, after Isabella has her baby and gives new life, we learn that she was never supposed to die on the Route 23 crash, meaning it isn't over. And ladies and gentlemen, that is how you keep the excitement coming. Kimberly has another premonition of someone drowning and realizes she has to die in order to cheat death and save Thomas. She steals an ambulance and drives into a nearby lake and drowns just as her premonition ordered. But she was revived by Thomas, which gives new life, therefore cheating death. Or so they would believe. Man, I love this one. As we see them sitting at a barbecue with the family of Brian Gibbons, who we see earlier getting saved by Rory before his demise. Brian would then die in an explosion, and later we come to realize that Rory intervened in Brian's death and he was supposed to die that day, so death came back for him. A fun fact I recently learned is Wendy from number 3 auditioned for the role of Kimberly but never got the role, but ended up getting it in the next installment for her good. Audition. In an alternate scene in the Final Destination 3 DVD, Kimberly and Thomas meet their end in a wood chipper. But according to the Final Destination crew, they can decide not to count that, therefore meaning Kimberly and Thomas could be the soul. Survivors of Route 23 and could make a future appearance. What do you guys think? Will Kimberly and Thomas return? Are they still alive? Give us your thoughts and opinions, or any theories you may have, and let me know if you guys are looking forward to number 6. Finally, after 14 years, we have another movie, and it promises to freshen up the franchise. Will you see it on opening day? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and see you guys in the next one.